What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews, exclusively here as always on the Casa de 18 Studios channel. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade JJ Williams, and today's show is also being featured in replay mode on the Jeff Meacham Network. Thank you very much, Mr. Meacham, for featuring today's episode of Renegades Reviews, as you do every other Friday when there's not an episode of The Dads, Not Always on Wrestling. And today we're going to be discussing from 1963, The Sword in the Stone, featuring the voice talents of Ricky Sorensen, Carl Swanson, Junice Matthews, Sebastian Cabot, Alan Napier, Thurl Ravenscroft, Richard Reitherman, and Robert Reitherman. What's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining me here once again for another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. And as I said in the introduction, today we're going to be featured not only on the Casa de 18 Studios channel, as always, exclusive daily content, but today we're also going to be featured in a replay on the Jeff Meacham Network, as he always does for us on the non-Dads, Not Always on Wrestling weeks. And we're still in the middle of the silver age of the Walt Disney Animation Studios here. We're going to discuss The Sword in the Stone. Let's get right into it here, shall we? Our film opens and the King of England, Uther Pendragon, has passed away, having had no children, thereby leaving no heir to the throne. Out of nowhere, a sword magically appears, impaled in an anvil in London, with an inscription proclaiming that whomever can remove the sword from the stone will become the rightful King of England. Nobody can successfully remove the sword, which plunges England into the Dark Ages. A number of years pass by, and somewhere in the West Country, a 12-year-old orphan boy named Arthur, who is commonly referred to as Wart by his adoptive family, accidentally scares off a deer that his older foster brother, Sir Kay, has been hunting, which causes Kay to launch his arrow into the forest. When Wart goes to retrieve the arrow, he meets Merlin, an elderly wizard who lives with his talking pet owl, Archimedes. Merlin takes it upon himself to become Wart's tutor, returning with him to his home, a castle that is ran by Sir Ector, Kay's father and Arthur's foster father. Sir Pellinore, a longtime friend of Sir Ector, shows up bringing news that the winner of an upcoming New Year's Day tournament in London will be crowned the new king. So Ector decides to put Kay through some serious, rigorous training for the tournament and appoints Arthur to be Kay's squire. In order to further educate Wart, Merlin transforms himself and the boy into fish, which allows them to swim in the castle moat and learn physics. Wart is attacked by a pike and almost eaten, but he is saved by Archimedes. After the lesson, Wart tries to tell Sir Ector and Kay about what just happened, but they don't believe him, so they punish him with additional kitchen duties. Merlin casts a spell and enchants the dishes to wash themselves, and then takes Wart out for another lesson, this time turning both of them into squirrels in order to learn about gravity. They also end up receiving an additional lesson about male-female relationships when two amorous female squirrels spot them. They return to human form and return to the castle, where Sir Ector accuses Merlin of using black magic on the dishes, which he and Kay had discovered and attempted unsuccessfully to fight off. Wart defends Merlin, but Ector refuses to listen and punishes young Wart by giving Kay a different squire, Hobbs, which causes the boy to lose his opportunity to visit London. Merlin resolves to make amends with Wart and begins educating him full-time. However, Merlin's knowledge of the future, such as planes, trains, and the fact that the earth is round, confuses Wart, which prompts Merlin to appoint Archimedes as his teacher. Merlin then transforms Arthur into a sparrow, and Archimedes teaches him how to fly. A hawk chases Arthur, and he seeks refuge in what turns out to be the house of Madame Mim, an eccentric, evil witch who is Merlin's arch-nemesis. She decides to destroy Arthur, but Merlin arrives just in the nick of time to rescue him. Madame Mim challenges Merlin to a wizard's duel, and despite Mim's cheating, Merlin is able to outsmart her by transforming into a germ and infecting her, illustrating the importance of knowledge over strength. On Christmas Eve, Kay is knighted, and when it is discovered that Hobbs has come down with the mumps, Sir Ector reinstates Arthur as Kay's squire. Arthur's delight at the turn of events causes Merlin to think that he cares more about war games than his own education. Arthur defends himself, and Merlin, in his anger, accidentally transports himself to 20th century Bermuda. At the tournament in London, Wart realizes that he has left Kay's sword back at the inn. When he returns to the inn, he finds the doors locked, as everyone is out watching the tournament. Archimedes notices a sword in a nearby churchyard, impaled in an anvil. Wart, who has never heard of the sword in the stone, attempts to grab the sword and successfully removes it, almost effortlessly, thus fulfilling the prophecy. When Arthur returns to the tournament with the sword, Ector recognizes it, and the tournament is halted. Sir Ector places the sword back in its anvil and demands that Arthur prove that he pulled it. But first, Kay attempts to pull the sword, which prompts the other knights to insist that Arthur be given a fair chance. Arthur once again grabs and removes the sword, revealing that he is now England's rightful king. Sir Ector apologizes to Arthur as the knights cheer for him. Sometime later, the newly crowned King Arthur sits in the throne room with Archimedes, and Arthur begins to feel overwhelmed with the responsibility of ruling. When Merlin shows up, returning from his Bermuda vacation, and resolves to help Arthur become the great king that he has foreseen that Arthur will be. The Sword and the Stone, when I was a lot younger, I really dug it a lot more. But as I've gotten older in years, I find this film to be kind of rather boring. I feel a little bit too much emphasis has been put on Merlin when this is supposed to be Arthur's tale. And yes, Walt does play a pretty key role, but Merlin is made out to be more of the star of this film. And I feel that that takes away from the general origin story of King Arthur, and the boy who would be king. I feel like if Merlin was more of a background, secondary character, and not as much in the forefront, it would be a little bit better. Just my personal opinion. It's definitely not a bad movie, but in the grand scheme of the Silver Age and the 8 films that we're discussing as part of that era, I feel like Sword in the Stone is the weakest link. Again, maybe I'm not being fair in my assessment and my judgment as an older 44, almost 45-year-old person, but I feel like there's so much in this film that could be done differently. And you wait the entire film to get to the battle with Mean Madam Mim. And once that's over, there's like 10 minutes of the movie left. Like, I feel like there's no real conflict throughout the majority of the movie, aside from young Wart, Arthur, butting heads with Sir Ector and Kay. And that's more like family feud rivalry, but it's not even at the level as Cinderella and her stepfamily. It's just, you annoy me, go away. There's no real, dynamic there to sink your teeth in my personal opinion. So when it comes to my rating for The Sword and the Stone, 2 out of 5 stars. Like I said, I feel like it is the weakest film in the Silver Age. And the Silver Age, as I've said numerous times, I feel is essentially the Walt Disney Animation Studios' greatest hits before we get to the Renaissance. Cinderella, timeless classic. Alice in Wonderland, timeless classic. Peter Pan, timeless classic. Lady and the Tramp, timeless classic. 101 Dalmatians, timeless classic. Sleeping Beauty, timeless classic. The Sword and the Stone, again, if I'm being too harsh on this film, let me know. If you guys are watching the premiere, leave your comments over here. If you're watching on demand, leave your thoughts down here. I'm very curious to see what you guys think of The Sword and the Stone. Make sure you guys get out there on social media. Get those hashtags trending for me. Hashtag Casa D18 Studios. Hashtag Renegades Reviews. Hashtag Renegade Returns. Hashtag Jeff Meacham Network. And of course, the ever popular hashtag Shenanigans. We interrupt this episode of Renegades Reviews for an important announcement about
merchandising.
Merchandising? What's that?
Merchandising. Come, I'll show you. Merchandising, where the real money's made.
Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all the t-shirts you see here from the West Coast professor, Jeff Meacham himself. You can get shirts for the Jeff Meacham Network, Talk Wrestling, as well as the red and gold Meachamania shirts. And while you're there, don't forget to get your shirts of the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood, the Dads on Wrestling shirt, the Renegade JJ Williams, Statboy Sports Bar, and the hashtag StatBoyApproved shirt. Make sure you go over to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network and score your shirts today. Make sure you guys get out there. Do what that commercial just told you. Go to teespring.com/stores/Jeff Meacham Network for all your official merchandise for the Casa D18 Studios Brotherhood. Get your Renegade JJ Williams shirt, Dad's Not Always on Wrestling, Statboy Sports Bar, hashtag StatBoyApproved, hashtag Shenanigans. Get your official merchandise for the Jeff Meacham Network. 3 different designs of the Jeff Meacham Network logo for you to choose from, along with Talk Wrestling, Meachamania, and so much more. Get out there, do us a solid, and support. And while you're out there supporting, do what that ticker tells you to do. If you enjoy my content and you enjoy the work that I do to put out daily videos right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel and content every other week right here on the Jeff Meacham Network, then go to that PayPal link and send me a donation. Keep in mind, guys, I'm not monetized yet. I'm trying to boost up my viewership hours so that I can eventually get monetized, so I can eventually make a few bucks off of this. But as of right now, I'm not. So the only way I can make any money is if you, my loyal viewers, send me a donation. If you don't want to send me a monetary donation, go to that link tree. Purchase something off my Amazon movie wish list. When you do that and it comes in the mail and I open it on Renegade Recap, I'll give you a shout out live on the air when I do the movie mail segment. And then once I figure out a way to work it into a theme month and review it, I'll give you another shout out on the air when I review it. Much like I did when I was covering the John Wick trilogy, and I was mentioning how my friend Jamel from work got me that trilogy as a Christmas present last year. I'll do the very same thing, give you guys a shout out, try and make it a little bit more interactive, like you guys have a little bit more of a role in what I'm reviewing. Get out there, support me. Tomorrow, right back here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, when I will be back with another brand new installment of Renegades Reviews. Make sure you tune in as I close out the Silver Age of the Walt Disney Animation Studios with 1967's The Jungle Book, featuring the vocal talents of Bruce Reitherman, Phil Harris, Sebastian Cabot, Louis Prima, George Sanders, Sterling Holloway, J. Pat O'Malley, Verna Felton, Clint Howard, and Darlene Carr. You're not going to want to miss out tomorrow, right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel, right here on Renegades Reviews, when we've closed the book on the Silver Age of the Walt Disney Animation Studios filmography. Definitely going to want to tune in for that. To all my loyal viewers that have been watching the premiere, leaving your comments over here, thank you very much. I greatly appreciate you guys. All my loyal viewers tuning in later in the day, watching on demand, leaving your thoughts and comments down here. Thank you very much. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. I appreciate all my loyal viewers that tune in on a daily basis to check out the brand new content that I'm constantly bringing right here on the Casa D18 Studios channel. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.